I'm not gonna get in the way of the game because, you know, I want to have a little back and forth with Patrick Beverly. I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Kevin Durant, you guys know the name. A player that pulls attention the moment he steps on the court. Arms and legs long like branches, his frame as skinny as a twig, his shot creation, ball handling ability, and prolific basketball play having no chance of flying under the radar. His dominance over his NBA peers leaves them awestruck, befuddled, and bewildered as they try desperately to find a way to slow him down. Standing at 7 feet and as thin as a straw, his frame isn't the usual intimidating stature that players across the NBA carry, but he could put the ball in the basket like no other player can. There is not a single hole in his offensive scoring ability. There is no shot, no move, no area on the court where it's uncomfortable for him to score. His size and his ability to move give defenders the frets when they have to keep up with him. The word is simple, and the word is out. There is not one person on the planet who can guard Kevin Durant, and he's made that clear throughout his career. Two-time NBA champion, two-time Finals MVP, one-time MVP, 15-time All-Star, four-time scoring champion, a two-time NBA All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year, 11-time All-NBA, and a three-time Olympic gold medal winner. Throughout his NBA career, Kevin Durant has achieved a lot. So much. Too much. But there's an issue. A big one. Despite all the achievements, the accolades, and the talent, Kevin Durant's career and achievements feel hollow. Through the decisions he's made on his own accord and his navigations throughout his NBA career, the uber-talented Slim Reaper has lit his reputation on fire and burned through his NBA legacy. Kevin Durant was the definition of abnormal. From his birth, he grew up in a single-parent household in Maryland, supported by only his mother for the first 13 years of his life. And throughout his entire childhood and life, every room he walked into, he stood out. He was tall as a kid, like really tall. Towering at 6 foot as a 12-year-old, he constantly hovered over his peers, especially on the basketball court. His towering stature caused domination over the other children he played with. But that's not where the abnormalities end. This sort of thing is actually common for NBA big men. As they grew up, their size usually caused them to lay waste on their physically weaker opponents. This aspect was normal. The abnormalities came in his playstyle. He wasn't a hard-nosed 5 as his height would suggest. He was an offensive maestro, a savant, a guy who could kill you from all 3 levels, a guy who could flow, a guy who could move with the fluidity and ball handling skills of a guard. As Kevin Durant grew in height, his skill became more of an abnormality. His long and lanky frame isn't supposed to dominate how he was. His height isn't supposed to move like he moves, and yet he does. The way Kevin Durant was built, the way he was able to handle the ball, and the way he was able to shoot all traditionally did not make sense. His existence as a basketball player did not make sense. Alright, we get the point. As a player, Kevin Durant was abnormal. His mobility and guard-like skills at near 7 feet was something that's never been seen before, and quite frankly, that granted him instant success when entering the NBA. After averaging 20 points a game in his rookie season, he exploded with 25 points a game, which ballooned to 30 points a game in his third year. As strictly a talent, this guy was unbelievable. He set the league on fire with the scoring volume and stupefying efficiency. Nobody could stop this lanky kid, no matter who you put on him. In just his third season, he was already unstoppable. There was one issue though. It was the playoffs. In 2012, the Thunder made their way to the finals, beating the Spurs and Mavericks and facing head-on with the Miami Heat. Due to their youth and inexperience, they struggled and got gentlemen swept by the Wade, Bosh, and Braun Heat. The next season, in a 50-40-90 season from Kevin Durant, the Thunder entered the playoffs as the #1 seed and looked to make some noise. Russell Westbrook, though, ended up tearing his meniscus, and the Thunder ended up getting eliminated in 5 in the second round. In the 2013-14 MVP season, Kevin Durant led the team all the way to the Western Conference Finals before unfortunately losing in 6 games against the Spurs. He was right on the doorstep of making his second NBA Finals, but unfortunately, he just couldn't push through. The 2015 season was marred by injuries for Durant, and the Thunder failed to make the playoffs, which finally leads us to the 2016 season. That was a historical year for Durant and Westbrook. They both played at the peak of their powers and led the Thunder to the 3rd seed. Durant was uber talented again with an extremely efficient 28 points a game, and Westbrook was the perfect partner for it. But that was never the concern for them. It never was. Durant was always going to be electric at putting the ball in the basket, and the Westbrook's stupefying athleticism will always play well next to it. The issue would be the ability to exercise the playoff demons that both them and the Thunder suffered. It's not as if they didn't have the talent to get a championship. They had more than enough. They were right on the doorstep to the finals on multiple different occasions, even making it once against the Heat. But whether it was poorly timed injuries or just not being enough, they were never really able to push past that barrier, and that ached at Durant. It was year 9 for him, and he still didn't have an NBA title. And entering the playoffs with both him and Westbrook at the peak of their powers, this was as good of a chance as they were gonna get. The Thunder ended the first round beating the Mavericks in 5 games. Okay, that's regular. That's calm. The Thunder never really had an issue escaping the first round. Even in the years where Westbrook or Durant was injured, they always found a way to push past that and at least win one round in the playoffs. But in the second round, things got dicey when KD had to face a team that prevented them from reaching the finals in 2014. The Spurs, still as dangerous as ever, even while being old. It was a hard-fought series, tied 2-2 at one point, but a 37-point flamethrower in Game 6 pushed them to the Western Conference Finals. Whew. Okay. Well, if you think things were, dicey before, you're gonna lose your marbles now. The Western Conference Finals were never kind to Kevin Durant. When him and Westbrook were fully healthy, they never had much of a problem getting there, but in that position, they consistently found themselves falling short. The fact that they had to face a 73-win Warriors team didn't make things look like they were gonna fall in their favor. Here's the thing, though. The Thunder didn't care. At all. They won Game 1, lost Game 2, then proceeded to dominate the Warriors in Game 3 and 4 and built a 3-1 lead, knocking right on the doorstep, right at the edge of making the NBA Finals. They had the Golden State Warriors by the balls, literally. The 73-9 Warriors were on the rocks by KD and the Thunder. This is exactly what they want. Do we even have to go over what happened? Most of you guys already know. If the term devil magic existed back when the Golden State Warriors were, in their heyday, the Golden State Warriors would definitely be under investigation for eating babies under Oracle Arena. I'm being so serious. In Game 5, Kevin Durant dropped the 40 piece. 40 points. They still lost. In Game 6, the Thunder had a significant lead going into the 4th, and they were ready to book their ticket to the NBA Finals. Nope. Klay Thompson dropped 40 points, and the Warriors won the 4th quarter by 15 points to force a Game 7. And in Game 7, they had one of those they had the third quarter thing. The third quarters I'm talking about. Textbook Warriors third quarters. If you watch the Dynasty Warriors, they're I feel like you know what I'm talking about. But in Game 7, it was one of the games through the first 2 quarters where you felt like you had everything under control, or at the very least, you felt like you had a shot at the game. The Thunder did have everything under control, but this tiny light-skinned sniper just starts chucking up rainmakers the instant you come out of house. Rockets fans know exactly what I'm talking about. Look at the quarter-by-quarter differential of Game 7 and tell me that the Golden State Warriors weren't the OG devil worshippers of the NBA. But after you do that, look at something else. Look at Kevin Durant. How do you think he felt? Yeah, not good. This was another season where he was on the doorstep to an NBA Finals appearance. Another season where he made the Western Conference Finals. This time, he was a game away from the finals. The worst part about this Thunder situation was the fact that they were kinda in purgatory. They were for sure talented enough to compete for a title. They had the pieces to make things work. All they had to do was just play better. This wasn't a dead end for Durant, and it wasn't over for him either. Even though they blew a 3-1 lead, they proved that they had the ability to beat the Warriors. If they stretch and make the effort, then maybe a championship and salvation could find Kevin Durant.
Oh, it's true. If you were to join us, you'd be endlessly ridiculed. Your old teammates will despise you, and the fans in Oklahoma will cook their stew on the flames of your burning jersey. People will call you a traitor, a coward, and some may say you've destroyed the entire balance of the realm.
But, on the other hand, if you were to join us, we would be
So good.
Kevin Durant shocked the world in July of 2016. This is when he went off on his own accord and went from the Thunder, the team where he'd spent his entire career, the city that cared and loved and nurtured him, the squad in which he knocked on the doorstep of the finals with multiple times, even being up 3-1 in the Western Conference Finals, and 1 game away from heading to the NBA Finals, to the team that he blew the 3-1 lead to. Like, is that not insane? Kevin Durant, a top 3 player in the league, joining a 73-9 team. I mean, bizarre isn't enough to describe it. This move defied all regular basketball logic. The betrayal, the overt ring chasing, and the imbalance it caused to the NBA. All of it sowed cracks into the league. Cracks that stretched across the entire NBA and permanently shifted the landscape of basketball as we know it. Why did he do it? I don't know. I mentioned before that it defied all basketball logic. That's an understatement. Think of yourself. If you were in Kevin Durant's position, what do you think you'd do? You spent most of your days on one organization, but failed constantly. Failed to get a ring. You knew you had the talent, you knew you had the players, the fans knew it, your brother Russ knew it, the organization knew it. This would be the first ring in franchise history, and you, after years of pain, would deliver the dreams of millions of people. I'm gonna be honest, I don't think heading to the 73-win team that we blew a 3-1 lead to would really be at the top of my list. Kevin Durant chose different though, and decided to ride along with a dynasty for 2 very easy championships, ruining the hearts of all OKC fans, burning bridges with him and Russell Westbrook, and becoming the villain in the eyes of the entire NBA. Was getting that ring worth it? Was it really that fulfilling? Does he regret the move? I don't know. Kevin Durant has one of the most intriguing minds of the NBA. The mysteries that, swirl around that unbrushed skull of his really turns the norms of not just the NBA, but sports on its head. And it all stems from one move. Now, the year is 2025, and I think the decision, quote unquote, happened in 2017. And obviously, since then, he gave his reasoning on multiple different occasions. Regardless, that didn't stop people from creating their own reasoning. The narrative was that he wanted a free ring, that he got tired of chasing the grind, and the constant failures frustrated him. Many people thought he wanted an easy path to a championship. Well, he said something different. Listen to it.
And with OKC, I played with a lot of athletes. I didn't play with a lot of skill guys, not like shooters, ball handlers. So after a while, my game started to grow. I was like, I need a change. This is before the season even started. You know what I mean? And it was like, I'm gonna play out my last season as hard as I can. And I'm not telling anybody I want to leave. I'm not packing in. I'm trying to win as much as we can and trying to end this out right. That was my thinking going in before the year. Then we get to the Warriors, it's just a whole different series. You know they're gonna sell out to stop me. And it's easy for a team to guard us when we got guys that not respect it from the three. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I was tired of playing in that system. I was tired of having to be the only guy that can make threes, make jump shots, and consistently make them. So my mind was already thinking about how can I develop my game more so than the Warriors versus Thunder, that rivalry. Even if that was a rivalry, I didn't give a fuck. I just wanted to keep developing my game.
This veers off the path of the regular narrative around his departure in OKC, and it kind of lends insight to his perspective. Now, he could easily be lying, obviously. Definitely be lying. To himself or to other people, but we'll get to that later. After that turning point in Golden State, Kevin Durant ended up leaving the Warriors in a few years and went to the Nets with Kyrie Irving. That was an absolute debacle. They ended up trading for James Harden and created arguably the most talented team of all time. Before that eventually fell apart in spectacular fashion. Perfectly equipped with vaccines, injuries, a really dumb owner, and an annoying mayor. Oh, and Ben Simmons, he was in there too. That's a whole can of worms that'll take a 40-minute video to explain. Just know, Kevin Durant's first stint away from the Warriors did not end pretty, not even close. From there, he moved to the Suns, which would take another 40-minute video to explain. Just know that in the span of 2.5 years, KD managed to be a part of 2 more failed super teams. One with Rajon Rondo, Devin Booker, Ayton and him, and another with him, Book and Beal. And just recently, he got traded to the Rockets. And you guys get the point. Kevin Durant has been around the block, every time jumping from one franchise to another after a failed tenure there. That pattern is one that has followed him throughout his career and has ruined his reputation amongst the fans of the NBA. A pattern that started with the Golden State Warriors, where he became the most hated man in the NBA. But why? What does this mean? Really? All this talking in this video and I still haven't gotten to what that pattern, what these bizarre decisions by Kevin Durant mean. We've already seen what KD has said, his reason why he went to the Warriors, along with his reason for going to the Suns and Rockets. And most fans call bullshit. They think his reasoning is the complete opposite. They say that Kevin Durant went to the Warriors for a ring, he didn't feel appreciated and felt butthurt, and his escapades with all these other teams were a way for him to win a ring as the top dog or the #1. But he failed miserably because he, quote unquote, doesn't have the dog. Now that's the narrative across the NBA fan base. What's actually the truth? I don't know. I don't know the guy. I can't really dispute any claims because only one person actually knows. Kevin Durant. Some fans think he's ashamed to the game and a chronic hunter of ways to bypass it, and this is where I put a halt to everything. I think his entire career, every move he's made, every chapter in the book of Kevin Durant has been motivated by one thing: basketball, or more closely, his love of it. I think his love of basketball is pure. The purest, actually. His vision of the game and love for it is the most refined and unadulterated in the world. You can argue a lot of things about Kevin Durant, but you can't deny his love of basketball. It's impossible. Look at every aspect of his game and you'll see what I mean. Kevin Durant being a scoring savant, polished at every single level in any sport or position. He has perfected the simple art of putting the ball in the basket. The same thing James Naismith did when he put up those peach baskets in 1980 something. And the same thing the sport of basketball is built around: scoring. His skill set, or prolific and flawless basket making capability, is already centered around basketball in its most basic and natural form. But this flows into every other aspect, like his decision making we've spoken about. That move to the Golden State Warriors was bizarre to the entire basketball world, to his teammates, to OKC fans and NBA fans. Well, they're a rival. You can't go to them. They just beat you. You can't move on to them. That'd be wrong. The simple fact is that move to Golden State broke all the rules of the NBA. Don't betray the team that drafted you. Don't go to the team that beat you. And don't shamelessly add yourself to a 73-win team to ride along for a free championship. Those are the NBA rules, but they aren't basketball rules. NBA rules are ones based off of pride, legacy, and personal accomplishment. But Kevin Durant's purpose, his purpose of going to the Warriors, was, as he said, how beautiful it was going to be, the things they were going to do for him, the offense he could play. In other words, they were going to be so good. And that goes for all of his other destinations. Eventually, the system they ran in Golden State was too constricting and muffling, and he set his sights elsewhere, this time to play free. What's my point? Kevin Durant values basketball. He values it so much that he holds its art form above everything else, over the narrative of the NBA, the arbitrary rules fans make. His appreciation of the game matters the most to it, or at least that's what I think. It's obviously not that black and white. Human emotions are much more complex than how I presented them, and I don't know him. I don't know what he thinks. And I'm also not gonna act like he didn't want that championship ring in Golden State, or to lead a team when he left there. Quote unquote superficial things like that have very likely at least guided him throughout his career. What I will say is that Kevin Durant values his journey through the art of basketball more than the collection of his legacy. That has been abundantly clear when we look at his career in its entirety. Not a lot of people can say that, and not a lot of people can respect it. But that's Kevin Durant. You guys know him.